Hello, and a very warm welcome to Friday Live with me, Phil Crowshaw. And today I'm delighted to be joined on Friday Live with Sara Trechman. And she's from Well and Truly. And I met Sara as a result of she attended one of the online training sessions I was doing. And I just thought it was so fascinating what she was doing and so topical at the moment, as you'll find out when she talks, that I just had to ask her on the show. And we were talking about live streaming and everything. And I said, if anybody wants to live stream with me, then put your hand up. And Sara was right in there, hand up there. So Sara, great to have you on. I'll just play the intro just to give people time to log in and come on. And then we'll crack on and really get into who you are and what you're about. Here we go.
Great.
So a very warm welcome to Friday Live with me, Phil Crowshaw. And as I said before the intro, delighted to be joined today by Sara Trechman. And Sara and I met on a webinar, I hate that word actually, that we were watching. We were talking about live streaming, and Sara volunteered in her infinite wisdom to come and join me today on Friday Live. So great to have you on, Sara. An absolute pleasure. I'm glad we sorted it out. So tell us about who you are and what it is you do and what Well and Truly is all about.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm really honoured. So Well and Truly, we unjunk household favourite snacks. So we launched Well and Truly 6 years ago. And when I say we, that's my sister-in-law and I. And the whole reason that we launched it 6 years ago was that we were living together in a flat, young girls, unmarried, childless at the time. Everything's changed since then. And Friday night was movie night. After, fun weekends in London, we wanted to relax in front of a good movie on Friday or Sunday night. So we would often pop down to a local store and try and find a healthy snack. But none of the snacks really delivered on the flavor that we wanted. So we decided that we could do something better. And I had a bit of a nutritional background. She had some sales background. I'd worked my whole career sort of in FMCG and marketing. And we decided to work together and do something. And that was the beginning of Well and Truly. We started writing ideas down on the back of coasters when we were going out for drinks during the week after work, and spent 6 months trying to find a factory that could produce and even take the risk of actually producing our first ever product. And we found a great little factory in Italy. They produced our first products. We then pitched it into several big retailers. We knew we wanted to go big. So, hey, we just went in and pitched to Tesco's first off. And to our amazing, sort of astounding luck, they said, we want to take your product. We thought we were going in 300 stores, and we ended up going into 1,000 stores. So there were tears, stresses over Christmas. There was no family fun at Christmas. It was all talking about Well and Truly. And we made it. And 6 years ago in February, we launched our first ever product on a Tesco store shelf.
Do you know, that's absolutely amazing. And you know, I said this, didn't I, when you said that when we're on the training course. It was almost like it's just a throwaway line when you said, "Oh yeah," and we went into Tesco, and I'm thinking all the people I know who've had product that they're trying to get into the supermarkets, but you managed to do it. So when you look back, do you think the main driver there was just if you don't ask, you don't get? Was it the product wasn't and is really what is amazing and different? Or was bribery involved? Don't answer that. Um, or was it just something that was right at the right time? What would you think the main drivers were in terms of grabbing that crown so early on?
And I think it was twofold. I think it was the right product at the right time. So we actually went into the free from section of Tesco's, and they didn't have a product that we were offering at all in their range. So there was a gap in the range. And then I also think that the buyer was just so happy that we were going to her first. And she believed in our story. She believed in what we wanted to do with Well and Truly. She believed in sort of the inclusivity within the snacking. So it was gluten-free, it was vegan, etc. It was ticking all the nutritional boxes. And she believed in us as two young girls that were starting to be entrepreneurs. And so, yeah, we have a lot to be grateful to her for giving us that first stepping stone, and it really helped. When you reflect on these things, so I go back and say it's definitely the most memorable time of my Well and Truly journey for sure. Was it the right thing? I don't know, because then all of a sudden you're in 1,000 stores with zero brand awareness, and as a marketeer yourself, you know what challenges that bring.
Yeah.
So we then had to face, head first into that, which had its positives and negatives.
Sure. Do you think, there's obviously a lot of debate, and I've seen a bit recently, funnily enough, about some of the extra challenges and difficulties that female entrepreneurs have in growing the business, in getting the business funded. From your experience, do you think that's a fair reflection, or is it a little bit of a myth? What's your thoughts on it?
Interesting, actually. We've been asked to quote quite a few times on this subject, and it's not a myth. You definitely see it. The statistics are there. There have been at least 3 occasions where Maria and I have gone into rooms of investors, and we are the only women in the room. So you're basically presenting to 20, 30 high net worth individuals, investors, who all happen to be male. But then, on the flip side, we've had several female investors that are specifically looking for female-led startups to invest in. And so that has helped. We had funding from Albright, that again was set up specifically for female investors. So it is starting to change a bit. And the support that we've been getting from some of these female investors has been phenomenal.
Brilliant. Well, I think obviously it's an absolutely brilliant thing to see, and arguably well overdue, that's for certain. Yeah, I know you don't want to brag about it, and you're trying to con me the fact you've got the roof, the rafters, if you like, behind you on the roof, but you're not actually. Well, you are under a roof, but there's something more to where you are at the moment, Sarah, isn't there? So tell us where you're located at the moment, and you can show off. You're allowed. Go on.
Definitely. So my husband is French, so I'm actually based out in the Alps. So I look out my window and I've got a 4,000-meter mountain in front of me, which is stunning. Since COVID, we basically got rid of our office in London, and we said to the whole team that they could work anywhere they wanted to as long as it was within Europe. And the team are really happy. We had one girl that moved from London down to Cornwall because she wanted to surf before work. And ultimately, we meet up with the team 4 times a year in a city within Europe. And the rest is all done over Zoom and phone calls. And the whole team are really happy and loving it.
One of the things, apart from being totally miserable now and depressed for the rest of the day, thinking Cornwall, and I'm looking out to bloody Manchester, but there you go. Nothing wrong with Manchester. It's a very nice city, but not quite Cornwall. And there's no surfing going on outside there, I can assure you. Yeah. So, I mean, joking apart though, I think it's, I'll always love it when there's things that we can provide and content we can provide on these live streams, which are inspirational. And arguably, I think, what you're doing, apart from what you're actually offering as a service, also the ways your future of work, if you like, is you're epitomizing that flexibility of mindset on it and in it. So do you think then that, people talk about the new normal. Do you think that in reality now, this is the new normal? Do you think hybrid working, and I have two questions there. Do you think it's becoming the norm and will become the norm? And I think the second bit is, do you ever have any concerns whatsoever about relinquishing an element of control on people's time, or are you totally trusting?
I think it is the new norm now. The number of people that are just not going back to offices, the amount of time that was wasted in commuting. I mean, I was commuting every week from France back to London. So now I don't have to do that. So the amount of hours that I spend working is even more, I think, than previously. And then do I have fear of the control? Not at all. I mean, we're still small. So we're a team of 6. 2 of us are the co-founders. And I have complete and utter faith in every single one of the team members. We've specifically, handpicked them. You can really see the output within a small company. Everyone's given a lot of autonomy and a lot of control straight away. And we respect them for that. And we all have to be driving the same way. Otherwise, you start seeing cracks in the startup straight away. So yeah, it works for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful just to see a small business taking that initiative and actually doing it. So to be honest, congratulations on that. And if anybody's watching this who is umming and ahhing about it, I guess Sarah's living proof. And maybe contact her. You can buy some of the snacks while you're at it, but also maybe contact her. I'm sure she'll give you a little. I'm sure she doesn't charge too much for consultancy. Brilliant. Okay, so tell us then about the snacks, because I mean that's what drew me in the first place. Apart from the entrepreneurial story, which, as you know, I love. Apart from that, what was the driver behind the snacks? Because the first thing I thought of is, my God, I could do with these, because I'm a snacker. I like a lot of people are nowadays. People are time poor. We're all on the go all the time. So snacks is something that is becoming more and more and more popular. But of course, the salt and the sugar, even I'm aware of the salt and the sugar issues. So just talk me through the product and what processes you had to go through to get it to a point where you could legitimately claim, I guess, that it had a healthier outcome, which of course is tricky because you've got to be seen to be transparent and truthful, haven't you?
Definitely. So the first range that we unjunked was we unjunked Doritos. So the product only had 4 ingredients in it, that they were all natural. We worked really hard with the factory to develop a baking process. So the snack actually got baked twice to reduce the amount of fat in it. So we can claim 40% less fat than a similar product. And then the next product that we unjunked was the good old classic Knick Knack. So this is a corn, again, baked snack. And we also have the baking method means that we can claim 40% less fat as well. And with this range, we really push the flavors. So we work with a fantastic flavor house. Again, it's all natural flavors. So it's all sugar-free, etc. If we need to add a little bit of sweetness in there, we might put a little bit of licorice or a little bit of date, but you won't even notice it in the flavoring. So we've now got 6 different flavors within that range, in a sharing bag and then a small impulse bag. And then in November, we launched our newest range, which is vegan chocolate. So this is all made out of oat milk. One, it means that it's also kinder to the environment, because oat milk is one of the ones that uses less amounts of water. It's all ethically and sustainably farmed, so they have lots of different crop rotations within that. We only work with small farmers based out in Colombia for the cocoa. And then again, with this range, it's all about the delicious, indulgent inclusions that we put on top. So in terms of this one, we know that normally when you're going down the chocolate aisle, you actually just want something that's really delicious and indulgent. So we haven't stripped out any of the sugar or any of that, but all of the ingredients are super clean. But we have gone for the indulgent caramelized hazelnut or the salted caramel inclusions that we've put on top of the bar.
Oh God, that sounds absolutely magnificent. I knew I should have had something to eat before I came on came on this show. Did you actually when you started this, was it, I know I'm not being patronizing now, but was it a bit of a giggle? Was there a kind of an element of it which was, 3 glasses of wine in, one of those kind of gigs, with your sister-in-law? I'm sure there's a few decent photographs out. I bet both where the bodies are buried if you were living together as 2 single girls back then. So, was it all a bit of I see a bit of a giggle. That sounds very patronizing, but I think you know where I'm coming from. Was it just something after a couple of glasses of wine, or did you seriously see the potential of it very early on?
Well, the first idea was, to be brutally honest, after several glasses of wine, the idea of actually working together. And then when we started coming up with the brand, we started speaking with different factories and really defining exactly what type of product that we wanted. That's when it started getting really serious. And we knew that we had come up with something that was really interesting. The feedback that we were getting from everybody that tried it said it was absolutely delicious. They couldn't believe that it was healthier. And so that actually stemmed. So at the beginning, we actually had this white packaging that was quite preachy in terms of much healthier. And when people started opening the bags, they were like, I can't believe this tastes so good. So it was telling us that the packaging actually wasn't working. And as a startup within food and drink, packaging is your most valuable asset. So we did a massive rehaul of the whole packaging, and we went from white to black, which made me have several sleepless nights, to be brutally honest. Because I thought, oh no, we're going to lose all of our millions of consumers. We didn't have millions at all at that time. We probably had a handful. But, you're really worried because those are the ones that are buying it.
Yeah.
But we did the big change, and it has now phenomenal standout on shelf. We saw a 300% increase in like-for-like sales just from changing the packaging. And we've seen our listings grow and grow ever since.
I think that's one of the areas that fascinates me more than anything else about marketing is the psychology. And what you're talking about there, I think, is absolutely fascinating. That whole idea, people think, don't they, that they make logical decisions on purchases. We all do. We all think we're logically choosing and yet your evidence there proves that obviously people's perceptions were shifted just as a result of changing the packaging.
Yeah, but it works because now when people see the packaging, they imagine that it's going to have really strong flavor, that it's going to taste great. When they open the bag, it's like, yes, this is what I was expecting to eat, rather than, oh wow, I didn't expect that. It looks like a knick-knack. That's amazing. So we learned lots.
So did you get, in terms of any general advice you were getting in the early days, or I suppose comments even from friends and family, was there an element of it which was, are you serious? You're kind of going into a market that involves these huge billion dollar conglomerate companies. Let's be honest, we don't even know who owns who anymore. You start off with, I don't know, whatever it might be, a Boost bar, and then you find out as it goes up the line, you find out that it's some multi-billion pound organization. Was there any feeling, or was there any warnings, or even internal feelings of, oh my God, are we really going to take on these guys?
It's a really interesting question, actually. I think the first time we started thinking a little bit about that was when we were pitching out to try and raise our first SCIS round of investments. So we raised 100,000, and we were getting challenged quite hard on who your competitors were. So that really made us look and see, and you were already starting to see sort of challenger brands coming into the snacking space. But within the free-from space, it was really dull. That no brands had really built strong and lively and fun brands. So we knew that we were onto something in terms of that there was the space in that market for disruption. And then when the investors started believing in us and we raised our first 100,000, and during the investment round, we were in conversations with Tesco's and they said, we're going to list you. So everything sort of happened really quickly and it started snowballing. So once we had the investment and we had a confirmed listing from Tesco's, it was just go, go, go. And there was no stopping or looking back.
Yeah, God, I can well imagine. It must have been so exciting. I'm really chuffed for you. I think you've done a grand job, and it's not easy. You imagine as a in my role as a coach, consultant, trainer, all that stuff, I'm talking to businesses all the time, and I am concerned sometimes about the way in which this kind of instant gratification culture that we're in. And this, I probably would have said to you, if you'd said to me, we want to be in Tesco in about 12 months time, I'd have probably been one of those people saying, now come on, Sarah, calm down, like let's get some perspective on this, let's get reality around it. So I'm the first to admit that I probably would have said that. But it just goes to show you what sort of, is there anything that you can think of now that surprised you in terms of the journey you've been on, in terms of anything that was particularly more difficult than you expected, or bumps in the road you didn't expect, or things that maybe were easier than you expected?
I think making sure that we had the right setup in the supply chain and the warehouses was an area that neither Maria and I had any experience in. So her background was sales at L'Oreal, and mine was marketing at Unilever and other places. And so that was really challenging. So we went with one warehouse that we thought looked great. We never knew where our orders were. We were getting complaints from lots of customers. So then it took us at least another good 2-3 months, once we knew that there was an issue, to then move and find another one. So that was 6 months of pretty tough time. And then we managed to find a good warehouse. So that was good. And I guess, what always surprises us is just the multiple different things that we have to learn every single day. So, from learning to be sort of trademark lawyers, to shareholders agreements, to the specific sort of trying to translate things into Chinese to make sure that things don't get replicated out in China, to understanding sort of the legislation in different countries in terms of what we can and can't market and the words that we can use, and even sort of the different flavor profiles. So, we sell some of our snacks out in the Middle East, but there are certain flavors that they won't take because it doesn't do well, or we've got a bit of vinegar in one of our products. Oh no, but we can't sell that there. So it's just the variety that our roles have taken on, which makes it fascinating on a day-to-day basis, but also quite challenging.
I'm interested to ask you, actually, because I often challenge small businesses when they talk about in the early stages. I often challenge small businesses when they start talking to me about life balance, work-life balance is important. I'm just interested to know, from your point of view, have you found that work-life balance has been possible? Have you been able to do, in cliche terms, 9 to 5? Or have you had to do those 16, 17-hour days quite often in order to get through the challenges in the early stages? Which has been your experience?
Well, I'll let you into a little secret. So between Maria and I, we've had 4 babies in 4 years of the 6 years that Well and Truly has been going. So the work-life balance does not exist. We have monumentally failed on that front. So we didn't really have maternity leave. We sort of came back. We were basically bouncing our babies on our knees during multiple Zoom calls, and it's just all part and parcel of being at Well and Truly. So yeah, we haven't managed to do that, but we've each got 2 amazing kids, and the third each obviously being Well and Truly, and we've loved every single minute of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Look, if you ever want to kind of bottle that energy, I'm a customer. Okay. I'm a customer of your energy drink that you've taken from your experiences in this. I'm a customer, especially now I'm older, because energy is something that seems to elude me more and more every year that goes by. So that is me. So is it something that, has kind of self-belief and confidence been important in that journey as well?
Yes, I mean, definitely. I think being co-founders has really helped. So we basically share a lot of things. So, for example, Maria is on holiday with her kids this week, so I'm definitely fully in Well and Truly, and that sharing thing has really helped us get through it all. I think that we're both really positive people, and we have this just fire within our stomachs that we want and we will make this work. We've put so much time and effort and sacrifice, that's a really important one, into this, that we will not see this fail. It will succeed. And so I think that attitude and that drive is really important. The last couple of years have been challenging, and I think they've been challenging for everybody. And we spent sort of, 4 weeks having really late night Zooms, going through the numbers, trying to find every single penny and pound that we could. We stripped out all of the unnecessary costs. And we've come out with a much stronger, a much healthier and more efficient business for it. So there have been tough times, but things have worked, and we've tried to streamline everything. So we used to have sort of somebody that looked after our bookkeeping, that did all the cash flow, and now we've just done all of that online. And Maria and I do all of that, and we know where every single pound and penny is spent within Well and Truly. So we keep a really close eye on the finances and the numbers.
Fabulous. Right, I've got a couple of questions for you from people who are watching this. Dansick is the first one, and Dansick says, "Is it your plan to sell it or grow it yourselves?" Which I think I know where she's coming from. You might not want to admit that, by the way.
No, that's fine. It has always been our ambition to sell Well and Truly at some point. The reason being is that Maria and I just love those exciting sort of beginning years. Whether it's creating the brand or getting the listings or building the team, we absolutely love that. And I think when Well and Truly gets to a certain size, there will be other people with much more experience to be able to take it further than where we can. So whether we sell it and stay within Well and Truly, I don't know, but that is our ambition at some point.
Do you know, I always say self-awareness is a really, really important quality to have for any entrepreneur. And I think that's very true. Most entrepreneurs I know of, and I guess I'm kind of in that game in a sense, they love that initial, that chase, that creativity. And the minute it becomes overly operational, it becomes a little bit more too much like hard work, because it is about operation rather than creativity. So it sounds very much like that's where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Okay, I've got another question here from John, and John says, "What's it like working in the Alps every day? And do you have any trouble with broadband?" Which is what we were talking about before we came on air.
So it's beautiful. I've got a great view, but I am at my desk from 8 till 5 when I have to go and pick up the girls from nursery. But otherwise, I mean, we've got fiber optic was delivered to the house 7 months ago. So it's pretty good so far.
Yeah, I can see there's some jealousy definitely kicking in there. That's fantastic. Do you find that, how have you found finding people resources? Because you said there's two of you, there were obviously two founders, yourself and your sister-in-law, and then 4 other people, I think you said, in the business.
Yeah.
Are those people that you found through people you knew or recommendation, or have you actually gone out there and hired those people cold, if for want of a better expression?
Yeah, so we hired our general manager specifically. So we wanted to have somebody that was, whether he was in London or Ireland or within that area, that was going to be in the business all the time, so that when it's summer holidays and we've got the kids around, we can have a bit more flexibility. So that was an important senior hire for us, so to be able to give us a bit of time to spend with our families. And he actually brought one of the sales managers from his previous role. So he was at Propercorn, he was at Ape Snacks, etc. And then we hired a junior salesperson. So that was her first sales role. We're real big believers in bringing people in who are young, that have just come out of university, and then training them up. And making them fully, fledged and believing in Well and Truly and doing everything the way that we think works really well. And then we took on a marketing person from the government Kickstarter campaign. And he finished his 6 months with us, and he did such a good job that we gave him a full-time role. And he's just taken our social media to a whole new level. And every time I go onto our Instagram page, it makes me laugh. So I'm loving it.
Yes, and I follow it now. So, and I kind of, I'm watching the journey now myself, which is great. And hopefully you'll be getting in more into video and podcasts and everything as a result of something we've talked about on the courses that you've been on as well. I've got another question here from Poppy. She says that she's just about to try and get funding for her business. Have you any top tips that you can give her to raise finance for her business?
Top tips. I guess I'm assuming that you're going to go for the government SEIS scheme, which is great, because a lot of the investors will be looking for that because of the tax breaks. It would, if you don't have a co-founder and you feel open to having one, investors look on it quite positively. Because they get scared that if you are a single founder, there can be a higher chance of burnout. So if you want to go on that journey with somebody else, I would definitely recommend that. Other than that, it would be making sure that you've got the best possible product that you possibly can, and that you know that who your competitors are. Knowing the competitor set is really important. And having a bit of a plan in terms of how you're going to grow it and understanding your supply chain. I think those are definitely the key questions that we've been asked. And when you're going out to ask people for investment, if you can try and target people that you think will be able to help you on your journey, i.e. have industry experience, or have a gap, can fill. For example, Maria and I, we didn't have any finance background, so we looked at for some shareholders that could have that finance to help us and support us through some of the governance pieces, and that really helped.
Superb. Well, I think that's a fantastic top tip, to be fair. Well, I'm going to be. My wife's very interested in this because she's a vegetarian. I'm not, but she keeps trying to convert me. But we're big chocolate eaters. Not in a good way, I have to say. So I think don't there's any doubt we'll be trying that out. And the very idea, I think, for anybody who's a chocolate eater, of just trying to make it even slightly more healthy, but certainly vegetarian or vegan. And that market is growing like crazy, isn't it? Veganism, is that the right term? Do you think that's just going to keep going up and up and up and up as people get more and more into it and understand it better?
I think it is, because the part of veganism that's actually growing the most is the lifestylers. So, it grew sort of 30-40% last year. And those are the people that are not necessarily doing it from a dietary perspective. They're doing it because, they want to be kinder to the planet. And I think that's only going to grow. It's the same pool of people that potentially, are dipping in and out of the flexitarian, that try and eat meat fewer times a week. That will try and recycle more, will try and buy products that are more sustainable. So I think that pool of people is only going to continue to grow, because we all want this beautiful world that we live in to remain around for longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, it seems relentless, doesn't it? Let's not go down that track. It seems relentless. It's almost as if the gods, in inverted commas, are just throwing stuff at us left, right, and centre. And just as we get over one thing, they'll throw something else at us, which we all know as we're recording this today is the horrendous things that are going on in the Ukraine. Anyway, never let it be said that Friday Live isn't respectful of people's work-life balance. I know you've got to go and pick up your kids from school or nursery or whatever it is you're picking them up from. So I'm going to let you go. Thanks ever so much for joining me today, Sarah. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Really some inspirational stuff there and some practical insight. And I wish you all the best with it. And I'm just going to say that if you become as big as Cadbury's one day, then I'm just going to say to everybody, well, actually, I know Sarah. Me and Sarah are like that.
That's fine. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Take care and have a great time in the Alps, you lucky beggar.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
At least it's sunny in Manchester. Okay. Lovely to see you, Sarah. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, that's another Friday Live done for this week. Hopefully you got something from that. I know I certainly did. And we'll see you maybe next week for another Friday Live from me and Sarah. Bye for now, and we'll see you again very soon. Toodle pip.